Disability Access Center work with students to determine and implement appropriate accommodations?
So under the law, it is called an interactive process, and basically what that means is that students have to self-identify and disclose that they're a student with a disability and they're experiencing barriers, so they have to reach out to us. We don't have a radar out there looking for students. And once they do reach out to us, we have them fill out an application to kind of gather some of that background information, allow them to submit any kind of documentation of their disability if they have it, while recognizing that not every student has the privilege to have that third-party documentation. So we also work on a case-by-case basis depending on what a student's barriers are, even without that documentation. I think that's really important to note because some students they didn't have, especially at a community college with a lot of non-traditional students, they may not have had that privilege to be diagnosed in K-12 school. The signs weren't recognized yet, they're still experiencing barriers. So we do that, and then from the application, we schedule an accommodation planning meeting. We interview the student and kind of get to know, what is their experience, what are the barriers that they're running into or expect to run into, and then from there coordinate with the course instructors to see if there's anything that might be considered like a fundamental alteration of the class, in which case it might not apply. We can get into that a little bit more, but I guess one example of that is thinking about accommodations like extended time on tests, which is a pretty common accommodation across the board. So in many cases that accommodation would apply because really it is allowing the student that little extra time to process or work through anxiety and show what they do know. That is the goal of the assessment, is to have the student be able to display their knowledge. But if it's a test like the student needs to be able to assemble this machining mechanism within a very specific time parameter, then that extended time accommodation might not apply. So when you're talking about how we implement or how we coordinate, determine appropriate accommodations, it really is a case-by-case basis.